Maryland.
Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And we're glad to have on the line with us Steuben County Democratic Chairman, Hornell IDA consultant, Shawn Hogan. Shawn, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Brian.
Well, before we get to political issues, let's talk about Industrial Development Agency issues, starting out with St. James Hospital.
Well, the hospital's progressing quite well, as anyone can see who drives north of the city and into the town, the OK Mart Plaza. It's going quite well. And the medical office building the tenants, which will be St. James, U of R, and Oak Orchard, will take title to that. Will take possession of their space sometime, soon, so they can start building it out and start providing services in that location. The hospital is being enclosed, and a lot of the the interior work will begin, and they're supposed to occupy and provide services sometime in 2018, prior to the end of this year, for the medical office building, the medical village, and the hospital will be sometime after the first of the year in 2019. It's been a long road. It's been some challenges, but thanks to Governor Cuomo and his policies towards rural health care, it's come to fruition. Right now I'm down in South Carolina. I'm here for about 10 days for a little vacation, and all throughout the South, rural hospitals are closing because they don't have any plan for the future. They don't have any. Any statewide support for struggling hospitals. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership, he's provided the support for rural hospitals, whether it be, Noyes, Jones, St. James, Lakeside, out in Dunkirk. He's kept a lot of these rural hospitals from closing with his policies through the Department of Health. And, $64 million later, we're going to have a full-service, beautiful hospital here at Hornell to serve our region. So, it's a wonderful thing.
Now, when St. James Hospital, when there was questions a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago now, of whether St. James would be able to stay open, and you fought that fight hard when you were mayor of Hornell. You gave a lot of credit at the time for Governor Andrew Cuomo for his behind-the-scenes work there.
Right, absolutely. Without the governor's support, without his support, and without him listening to us and our fears, we were on the verge of a major economic development project with Alstom, with the high-speed rail. I was saying we're a community in the southern tip that's showing tremendous growth. Then you show me anywhere else in western New York, outside of metropolitan area, where you have 130 housing units under construction, where we have commercial activity booming, and Alstom hiring, TTA hiring, great manufacturing. We have a very vibrant industrial base and growing commercial base, and to not have an adequate healthcare delivery system. The governor heard us, listened. Not only did he support us as far as the hospital goes, but he also supported us with aid to Alstom to allow them to bid competitively for the Amtrak Acela contract. So he was supportive on two fronts, the healthcare front and economic development front. So the governor doesn't get near as much credit that he deserves for his attention to detail. It's the southern tier. A lot of people are just focused on, in our area, one issue, and that's the SAFE Act. And they don't like the governor because of it. But the governor has, I think, showed extreme courage by his position with the SAFE Act, and also he hasn't forgotten the people of the southern tier. And I for one am eternally grateful to him, and I'm going to sing it. I'm going to sing his praises from the highest mountain. So if you don't blow your horn, no one's going to hear your music. And I mean, the governor hasn't been here taking bows or anything like that. He's quietly helped us, and I'm going to let people know that he's been a tremendous partner in helping with the growth and prosperity of our community.
Shawn, you brought up Alstom in your answer there about St. James Hospital and its continued survival in Hornell. Alstom and its projects there, how are things going currently at Alstom?
Well, Alstom's doing some, have to do some internal decision making. We're waiting to see which direction they're going to go, whether their plans include the South Yards or not. We're kind of at a standstill. We've signed the 13-year lease extension with them that the agency has, and we're just waiting for the internal decision making process to determine whether they are going to use the South Yards with this Acela high-speed train manufacturing cycle or not. They need what they call end-of-cycle building, which is about 75 to 80,000 square feet, where they put the train sets for final testing and things of that nature. So we're waiting to see which direction they're going to go, and we're kind of putting together a plan that includes the South Yards. So we're kind of at a standstill until we get an answer from Alstom themselves.
Shawn, last week, it was Thursday, that we had Democrat congressional candidate for Congress, Tracy Mitrano, here on Newsmaker, and we had her on. It's kind of hard to reach people on July 4th, but we had her on the next day, July 5th. That was Thursday. And we talked about her victory in the Democrat congressional primary. Your thoughts on Mitrano and moving forward towards the November 6th elections?
I felt all along that Tracy is well qualified. She's been at it for 14 months, campaigning. The Democrats had a tremendous group of candidates running. Only one can be the winner, obviously. I came out late in the campaign and supported Max Delapia, as I had significant personal conversations with him, and I liked his resume, and I liked the fact that he had served his country as a 30-year Air Force veteran, and that he had a tremendous work ethic, and he was his message of it's service, not self, and that's a message that I purport to. And but Max wasn't successful. He lost the race on the recount or the count of the absentee ballots, and I fully support Tracy Mitrano, and I will back her 100%. I think the end game is that we want to replace Tom Reed in the Congress with someone who listens to the people and will vote with the people's best interest at heart and not special interest. That is the people's house, and it should return to the people and not be controlled by lobbyists and special interests.
If you were Tracy Mitrano, would you campaign a lot in places like Jamestown? I know that, from having spoken with the different Democrats who have run against Congressman Reed over the years, names like Nate Shinagawa come to mind. They talked a lot about the possibilities of a Democrat winning Jamestown.
Well, yeah, I think there is a history of, Democrats winning in Jamestown. They have a long history of Democratic mayors, and they've had some Democratic county executives. I think it's a party that's been growing there. But what I think the key to winning is, obviously you spend time everywhere, but I think the key to winning is turning some Republican votes in counties like Steuben and Allegheny and Chemung and Yates and Tioga. Those turning some of those real red counties like Steuben, where there's a high percentage of Republican voters, getting some of those Republican voters to turn to and vote for a Democratic candidate. I think there's the issue. Not to cede one vote in any of these extremely red counties such as Allegheny and Steuben and some of those natures. So to turn some votes that way, I think because places like Tompkins County and Chautauqua, you're going to get your Democratic votes, and you may get the majority of votes. But where you need to pick up the votes to beat Reed is in the more red counties such as Steuben and Allegheny, and I think they have to work hard and be very visible in both of those counties to take away some of those Republican votes that would normally go to Reed.
We're talking with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan this morning on the Newsmaker Show. This past Friday, when Dr. Robert Heineman from Alfred University was on Newsmaker, Heineman and I discussed how this group, Indivisible BK, was giving Senator Chuck Schumer a hard time. It was kind of a silly thing. He was unable to make a flight to New York City. He got stranded in Utica because of the weather. This was, I believe this was last week. And this Indivisible BK was going on and on, being hyper ridiculous and dramatic about how they were being ignored. And I pointed out, I said, that's a ridiculous accusation to make against Schumer. He makes a point of going to every part of the district twice within the 6 year term that he's got. He's been to Hornell numerous times for Alstom and played a big role in getting the Amtrak contract secured there. And I just wondered if you wanted to weigh on that Indivisible BK criticism of Senator Schumer.
Well, yeah, I think what happened, I think we have to be careful as Democrats. There's a lot of disparate groups out there. Some are more left of center than that I am comfortable with. I think the most voters have a sense of fairness and a sense of justice when they vote. And I'm hoping in the climate where there is this poison pool that we're all swimming in with white supremacy and things like that we all come to an understanding that most voters are centrist. They don't want to go far right or far left. There's some areas where there's staunch conservatism, and there's some areas where there's staunch where there's leftward leaning thinking. I think you have to like I've always said, it's not about right wing or left wing. It's about doing the right thing, and I think that's what we have to think about. What are the policies that are going to help the people in our country move forward, and everyone have a sense of community, a sense of nation building, and a sense of consensus building, instead of like Trump pandering to his base of about 35-40% with some of his rhetoric, and that's what he does. That kind of stuff has to stop. And I think a lot of the people take when he's pandering to his base, that he's giving a wink and the nod to the white supremacists and those who are religious intolerance. And you can read it in the columns, you can see it in some of the tweets. And that a leader. I'm just reading a book now, by John Meacham, and about past presidents and past U.S. leaders who've always risen above some of this nonsense that this nation had to live through, the know-nothings and the Ku Klux Klan and things of that nature, then risen above it with a message that's positive for everyone, and that this country is a melting pot, and we should embrace and celebrate the fact that we are a melting pot, and that we've risen above petty differences and religious hatred and bigotry, and so that's the kind of candidates, that's the kind of message I think that's going to resonate with people.
We're talking with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. Going to take a quick break. We'll check the forecast. We'll be back.
Want your vehicle looking just like it did when you drove it out of the dealership? Then stop by RBS Auto Detailing on Canisteo and Pine Streets in Hornell. RBS Auto Detailing. The before and after photos of your vehicle won't come close to showing the great job they'll do for you. Cleaning, washing, and waxing. They can get your vehicle looking nice and new both inside and out. RBS Auto Detailing on the corner of Canisteo and Pine Streets in Hornell.
Saying good Monday morning to meteorologist Rob Carolyn. Rob, what are we looking at weather-wise today?
Oh, an outstanding day, Brian. It looks like it is going to be sunny all day long. We may see a few fair weather clouds. Right now, though, looking at satellite photos, there is very little cloudiness across the state. The cloudiness, it's back across Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, and Wisconsin this morning with a cold front. And that cold front's going to show up across our area during Tuesday, probably going to lead to some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. And it's going to bring in some more comfortable conditions as we head through Wednesday and Friday. Anybody on vacation this week, you picked a good one. This week is going to be filled with lots and lots of sunshine. Today, sunny, we're warm, 85 to 90. Sunrise this morning was at 5:43. It will set tonight at 8:48. We've already lost 3 minutes of daylight in the evening. We'll have clear skies tonight. We're 60 to 65. Cold front heads our way tomorrow, Brian. Sunshine to start. There'll be some afternoon clouds and some showers and thunderstorms to go along with those clouds, 80 to 85. We'll clear behind the front, turn cooler tomorrow night, 55 to 60. Wednesday looks outstanding. Sunny, 75 to 80. It'll be sunny Thursday and Friday as well, Brian.
Thank you, Rob. Back with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. In the last segment, you talked about the importance of the Democrats staying in the center, being centrist. Would you consider Senator Kirsten Gillibrand a centrist, and your thoughts on her chances for 2020 at the White House?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that. I think it's more of the media pundits that are throwing around her name for president. I don't think that she's seriously considering running for president. So I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think that that Kirsten has a record that's pretty centrist. She's been out front on sexual discrimination, particularly in the military. I for the most part, have supported her at her political stances. So I'm not sure that she's mentioned herself about running for president. I think it's more of a media thing. I'm more focused on the midterm elections. I think they're the most important midterm elections in our lifetime. We have to flip the Congress to send a message to Trump and his people around him that some of the nonsense that they're getting away with isn't going to be tolerated. Whether it's the separating the children from their parents, or the illegal immigrants, separating the children from them, whether it's opposing the World Health Organization's breastfeeding initiative, and a whole different litany of things where they're really taking some weird positions to place fear in the hearts of so many people. So I think it's I'm more focused on the midterm elections, which are November 2018. Then we'll talk about what happens after that.
Okay, so you're not taking Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, the talk about her too seriously. What about the talk of Governor Andrew Cuomo?
Well, I don't know. I think he's focused on re-election. I don't think there's any secret that he could be a potential candidate. But I'm more focused on 2018. And far be it from me to decide who's going to run, who isn't. I mean, that's the beauty of a democracy. I think the governor, if he decided to run, would be a formidable candidate. He's got a record of fiscal responsibility and social equality. And I think he'd be a viable candidate. But more interested in him, being successful this fall in November of 2018 and see where that goes from there.
We've been talking with, he's worn two hats today, his Hornell IDA hat and his Steuben County Democratic Chair hat. Shawn Hogan, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Well, Brian, I'd just like to say I have been out of town and on vacation, and I'd like to express my deepest sympathy to the family and friends of Trooper Nick Clark on his tragic death. And I know it has an impact on the entire Canisteo Valley and the entire state and nation. We should honor his service and his memory. I didn't know him personally, but I watched him play football at Alpha University, and he was a stellar young man, stellar individual, and my sympathy goes out to his family and friends.
And thank you so much for that. Thank you very much for being with us, Shawn.
All right, Brian. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's AM 1480 WLEA Hornell.